We are back. Your first question, probably, where are my co-hosts? One of them's on PTO. One of them decided to burn all of their PTO days, and now they have none left for the year. So hope you enjoy your vacation, T. And then my other co-host, Tom, could not make it today for different reasons. So, as you can see here, I am alone, but they're always with me. And when God is with you, who can be against you? That is a very important notion that's gotten me through a lot. Anyway, let's kick it off, baby. We're here. We're back beyond the wall. We have a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about House of the Dragon. We're going to talk a little bit more about Spider-Man. We're going to talk about my live-action Spider-Man rankings. It's big stuff. And then we're going to talk about a little bit of a few other shows. The Bear, which I'm excited to talk a little bit about. And we want to talk about one more thing. I don't even remember, bro. Let's check my notes. Let's check the old notes here. Ooh, yes, we want to talk about some things. Okay. Let's start off, obviously, with the obvious here. Let's make sure the audio's running. We're good. Let's talk about the obvious here. House of the Dragon finale. It's over, people. We have one more season coming out in 2028, and then House of the Dragon will be done. What did I think of Season 3? I thought it was better than Season 2, but still not better than Season 1, which sometimes that's okay. I'm very satisfied with this season, though. It started off incredible. It ended really good. We didn't get left hanging like Season 2, where we just felt like we wasted a bunch of time. I think it did, muddle along a little bit in the beginning of this season, but I really enjoy the finish. I think the show is struggling with... I think where the show struggles, there's a few reasons. Who do we root for? Because Rhaenyra sucks, Aegon sucks. I mean, people are so desperate to root for somebody. People are starting to love Aegon. And they're completely forgetting that he used to be in child fighting pits, and he was abusing his brother his entire life. People are kind of just throwing those things out of the window and being like, hey, let's root for this guy because he's kind of our best option right now. People are rooting for Daemon, who I love Daemon, but he's also made some extremely questionable decisions, really kind of ignores his children. A lot of things. Not a great father. But what I'll say this show is doing well, they are redeeming themselves from the Daenerys Targaryen mess of her just being good and then being batshit evil within an episode or two. After 8.5 seasons of her being amazing, then all of a sudden it took 2 episodes for her to be the worst human being to ever live in existence. This show is doing a great job of showing the slow and really sad demise of Rhaenyra Targaryen into who once was a hopeful child who was seeming to be, loved and cared for people. Now she is just turning into a straight up tyrant. And I think the show did a really good job of showing and seeing how the demise of her mind has come to pass. So great job on the show for doing that. I think Daemon had a lot to do this season after the awful storyline he had in Season 2. So the redemption of Daemon in terms of him having so much to do and being very active this season, I think was great. I love Alan, Adam, Corlys. I love the Velaryons. Corlys didn't have a lot to do this season after the first few episodes, but I really love Adam and Alan. I think they're really, really good characters. And we're seeing a sort of flip-flop. In the beginning of their run, it was Adam who wanted more. It was Alan who was satisfied. He wasn't chasing any glory or anything like that. Alan was satisfied. Adam wanted more for himself and wanted more for the brothers. He wanted to be recognized by Corlys. Now, it's Adam who's being like, hey, dude, are we 100% sure about that? You're just are we locked into this kind of, Rhaenyra's going a little crazy here. And Alan's like, I'm doing my duty, bro. Like, I'm serving my queen. No questions asked. So, see you later. And I think him, spoiler, murdering the priest in the sept is gonna haunt him. I think he's gonna carry that with him. And I think he did it in the moment. You know, he was jacked up, a lot of adrenaline, Rhaenyra whispering in his ear. But I think that's going to come back to bite him. And I think it's going to be something that makes him question everything, which is sad because he is extremely loyal. And we're seeing these characters, Ned Stark, Jon Snow, they just want to be loyal. They just want to serve. They want to do the right thing. But sometimes being loyal, especially to the wrong person, comes at a cost. And we're seeing what that cost is. Because Alan is just a great dude. But he may be following the wrong person and taking orders from the wrong person, which is a sad thing. I mean, there's not a good leader right now. There's no good options. We're picking from the better of two evils right now. And people are like, hey, maybe let's root for Aegon. And it's like, maybe, but maybe not. We got to hope something else comes to pass here. But anyway, we see the massive battle that takes place at Tumbleton, which was done so beautifully. I love the whole parlay with Gwaine, Corlys, Daemon. I love how stubbornly loyal Daemon has been to. He's like, nah, no one's ruling one other nothing. It's Rhaenyra ruling everything. I even want her to go to Essos and start taking shit over there. No one's ruling nothing. There's not one person ruling one other thing. It's Rhaenyra everywhere all the time. And that's it. So he really took control of the Tumbleton situation until our friend Ulf came in and said, I'm going scorched earth. People were being mean to me. I just want to get drunk with my friends. And now I'm going to burn an entire town because of it. And everybody around. I'm going to burn an entire army. And then I'm going to switch around and just burn the town too. I'm going to burn everything because people are being mean to me. I want to get drunk with my friends. I want to hang out with them. And no one's letting me. So because of that, thousands of people are going to get murdered by my dragon. So, yeah, also, awesome decision by Ulf. He's really making level-headed decisions. So, good on you. I love the little tidbit of Daemon asking what happened to Kristen Cole. And then him just getting pumped about him dying, just like not in a cool way. And obviously we have another big moment, the death of Helena, which is a big departure from the books, which I'm sure book people will be upset about. But, I mean, let's be honest. Who gives a shit? If we're getting a good story, these book people are so married to the book. Who gives a shit? If we're getting a good story, it doesn't matter, right? If season 4 ends incredibly well, you can't just follow every single little thing from the book. It's not possible to do that. That's why there's different mediums for things. There's books, and there's movies, and there's shows. And it's not possible to follow every little thread that George R. R. Martin can, that he makes. And you want to know why it's not possible to do that? George himself can't even write his own books anymore because he spread himself so thin. He's pulled in so many different directions from his storylines that he doesn't even know how to finish his own book. And that's a book. Not a show, not a movie. He can't even finish the book. It's been 38 years since the last book came out. We're waiting, George. How about stop complaining about the TV shows and go home and write the books? No more excuses, bitch. I don't want another Duncan and Egg novella. I got 4 more novellas coming out. Oh, cool. I love Duncan and Egg. Who gives a shit? Write the other books. It's time. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, the death of Helena was heartbreaking because she was such a good character. She was one of the only nice characters in terms of that Targaryen family. She was actually just genuinely a good person, and I mean, the big departure from the book is due to the treatment of Rhaenyra and her being confined and her being afraid for her child's life. I think she thought it was best that she, you know, make the decision that she made, which is heartbreaking. Um, so Mama's gonna come back and she's not gonna be happy, and I think that's when we'll start to see her final descent. We're gonna see a descent from Rhaenyra and Alicent. We're gonna see them steep to the lowest of lows. We're gonna see them become ruthless. We're gonna see a character arc that goes in the direction of down. They're not gonna get better. They're gonna get worse. So I think once she finds out what happens to Helena, there ain't going to be no... That was her last chance at redemption, as she kept saying, and now that chance is over. So it's going to be wild to see her reaction to the aftermath of what happened. But we'll have to wait 2 years to get any of that, which is always so hard to wait. But we'll have other stuff in between. Overall, I really enjoyed the final episode of House of the Dragon, the massive battle at Tumbleton. R.I.P. Ormond Hightower. Died with a knife up his ass and then got burned by a dragon. Rough way to die. I mean, knife up the ass and then burned alive. That's about as rough as it gets. But deserved. He sucked. So peace out. He did an amazing job playing Ormond, that actor. I want to look up his name. I don't want his name to go unmentioned because I don't know it. I would love to know his name because he did such an incredible job playing that character. Whenever you hate a character that much, for some reason Thrones just nails some of these characters so well. James Norton. Shout out James Norton, dude. He crushed it, and he will be missed. He came in and had like a 6-episode arc, and you immediately were just like gravitated towards him because he was so good. He was so Shakespearean. Really awesome performance from James Norton, and hopefully we see you in more stuff now in the future. You're going to be pretty freed up because you got burned alive. So you will not be returning in episode or season 4, but so that is it. We will see what comes to pass with the Aegon and Aemon situation. I think everyone is equally in agreement that they're loving how he just came in. I'm alive. And just starts slapping Aemon around. That's going to be an interesting duo right there. That's not a duo that you are going to... you're going to hear about them. That's noise. So, looking forward to seeing what happens with them now in alliance once again, which is dangerous for the realm and for Rhaenyra. Joe's Go Juice. Okay. We are done talking about House of the Dragon. The show is over. Really excited about the future for the show. We need a strong finish from season 4. It needs to be better than 3 and better than 2. I don't know if you can get better than 1, but if it's better than 3 and 2 and ends incredibly well, then we can say we bookended a really strong Game of Thrones spinoff show. So that's what we need. A strong finish. We still have Duncan and Egg coming up, which had an incredible season 1. Going to be really hard to top that. But the future of Game of Thrones, hopefully, looking bright. And now we are going to move on to Spider-Man. There's a really important thing that I wanted to talk about with Spider-Man. Peter Parker and Bruce Banner play important roles in this movie for the future of the MCU and specifically mutants in general, where they almost act as Albert Einstein and J. Robert Oppenheimer in terms of them creating technology that will cause ripple effects that will alter the future of the MCU forever. The inhibitor that Bruce has on him sparks the idea for Peter to create a universal inhibitor, which dampens his powers. And the fact that he creates this universal inhibitor could potentially be the chain reaction that we see to keep mutants from being able to use their powers forever. This technology could be replicated and start the mutant holocaust, which happens in the X-Men universe, where that's kind of all we see, the struggle between humans and mutants and the certain people that want to keep them down and dampen their powers and stop them forever. That's what's happening. And Peter Parker is the beginning of that. So I really hope that they explore that route of, let's just say, I really hope that they explore that storyline and the ripple effects that will have in the universe. And what that will do to Peter if he creates technology that gets into the wrong hands and affects mutants forever. I really hope we see the aftermath of that, because that is something that is so extremely dangerous in the world of mutants. And he's going to learn, like Tony Stark did, that his technology could, in the wrong hands, be extremely negative. So I really hope that that's explored and we see the horrifying ripple effects of it, because it's really messed up. But the mutant inhibitor, no good. No good, Peter. Just accept your powers, Hulk says an awesome thing to him. Bruce says an awesome thing to him. How do we know which parts are the good parts and the bad parts? And I think Bruce is wrong, too, in a sense that he shouldn't have been holding back the Hulk. I mean, especially because Savage Hulk wasn't a thing until Jean Grey got into his mind. Like, why was he holding back Professor Hulk? Because that's who he was at first. I'm sure none of those questions are going to be answered, because they know that they screwed up with Hulk, and this was their way of retconning that, and hopefully Savage Hulk is back with us forever. But who knows? Who knows the answers to these questions? We'll see what happens in Doomsday and Secret Wars. We'll see if we get the real Hulk back. We'll see if he's not nerfed. I'm tired of that shit. So, we'll see. Anyway, my Spider-Man live action list. Let's rip it here. Let's tear it. This is a big one, because a lot of thought went into this. And I know every time that you do a list, everyone in the world is mad at you. This isn't these are the best movies of all time. These are my favorite, how I felt about the Spider-Man movies. So everyone, take a breath. We're not all going to have the same opinion. Everything's going to be fine. The world's still going to spin. Okay. Number 9, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, I know there are certain people on the internet, you know who you are, who try to ignore all the bad from this movie and just focus on the good and say it's one of the best Spider-Man movies of all time. It isn't. And it's bad. And unfortunately, the bad is too bad to ignore. I think the Gwen Stacy Peter Parker relationship is one of the best in terms of chemistry, but it does not outweigh how bad Harry is done in this movie, how bad Electro is in this movie, and just the overall storylines and where those ended up going, the motivations of the characters. It's such a mess. I just recently rewatched all of these movies too, so I just want to throw that out there as well. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, although I still enjoy parts of it, I enjoy all these movies. That's the worst one. At number 8, Spider-Man Far From Home. That is the worst of the Tom Holland movies for sure. His motivations of not wanting to be a superhero are just so ridiculous to me. Like, he's like, hey, the Nick Fury comes to him, hey, the world's ending. He's like, can this random guy that we don't know handle it, though? Awesome, thank you. I want to be on my field trip. Dumbest shit of all time. Like, the motivations were out of whack completely. Mysterio, just not a strong villain in my opinion. Um, it's just he's out of New York. It's just the Spider-Man story outside of New York. I like how they were trying to switch up the vibes. We've gotten so many Spider-Man stories in New York. Just wasn't. It just wasn't. It was the worst of his movies. Still enjoyed some parts of it thoroughly, but no. Number 7, Spider-Man 3, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3. When I went back and watched all these movies after seeing 1 and 2, I was like, all right, let me go into 3 and just find any like I gotta find a through line here where I can love this movie. And you see, it's just a step down from that Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 and how good they were. Like, there are good parts of it. I think if we focused on like 1 or 2 of these storylines, I think the Sandman storyline's really good, but we just don't spend enough time there. I think the Harry storyline is really good and we don't spend enough time there. I think Topher Grace was very miscast as Venom. I think we needed a different Venom. I don't know if they were trying to go with like a vibe of like they wanted him to be a little bit like Peter, like a little scrawny, like a little bit cooler. But it was just the wrong. And I like Topher Grace, but it just wasn't a good casting as Venom. There were just too many things that didn't work in that movie. They were spread too thin. They had too many villains. I think it just went away from what worked so well with Spider-Man 1 and 2, where you have one central villain, one central antagonist that you focus on throughout the movie and you get to spend so much time with him. So I think, yeah, Spider-Man 3 is number 7. At number 6, The Amazing Spider-Man. Now we're heading into a territory of movies that I really like. I love all these movies. The top 6 live-action Spider-Man movies, I love all of them. And it's extremely hard to place them, but I think what we got with The Amazing Spider-Man, I was so excited about. I remember I had so many friends that were so stubborn, and because it wasn't Tobey, they wouldn't watch this movie. But I was like, you gotta watch this movie. Andrew Garfield is so good. There was so much that I was excited about for him being Spider-Man. And obviously we got the mess that was Spider-Man 2, and then we never got to see him in another solo movie again. Thankfully, we got No Way Home. But I was very excited about the future of Spider-Man after seeing 1. Him and Gwen Stacy's relationship, already mentioned, is amazing. The Kurt Connor storyline is so interesting and cool. The storyline with Gwen Stacy's dad as well, Captain Stacy, and his death and how that affected the story. It was a very good Spider-Man movie, and we saw one of the best Spider-Men on screen. I think Tobey's the best Peter, but we saw one of the best Spider-Man on the screen that we've ever seen to date. So yeah, we have The Amazing Spider-Man at 6. At 5, Spider-Man Homecoming. The first of Tom's movies. I know that some people are divided on whether they like this movie or whether they don't like this movie. I loved it. I felt like it was the best representation of high school. The Tobey movies, although I love them, the high school was just a little clunky and weird, and it felt very it didn't feel realistic. Tobey never felt like a high schooler. Tom Holland felt like a high schooler. Everyone around him, they felt like they were in high school. His story of being like a young, new Spider-Man and trying to find his place in the world, wanting to be a part of the Avengers really badly, wanting to be a part of the big stuff. That's something that you get with somebody who's a kid who wants to be a hero. He wants to be involved in the biggest things and learning the hard way that, you need to just be on the ground and build your way up. Like, this isn't fun. It's still fun for him at this moment. So him learning that, there's real weight to this. And he kind of learns that on his whole journey in his first 3 movies. But that this isn't a game. This isn't fun. I think Vulture, Michael Keaton, incredible. You can't beat that. He was arguably one of the best villains that we've gotten for Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. The scene in the car, I always think about. The scene where Spider-Man's under the rubble Uh, those are scenes that stick with me. And I really, really enjoyed the story. I think Iron Man's inclusion is really good. I know people are like Iron Boy Jr., Iron Boy Jr. It's like we needed a different. We just got back to back, same kind of thing. Uncle Ben, Uncle Ben. We kind of got the same vibe. This is a Spider-Man that's involved in the MCU. We want him to play with the other characters. We've been missing a Spider-Man that gets to play with these other characters. I love the inclusion of Iron Man in that movie. Just a really good movie overall. Number 4, Spider-Man, the original, Tobey Maguire's, set the tone for every Spider-Man movie that we've seen to date. Friggin' Tobey Maguire, James Franco, freaking, oh my God, Norman Osborn, played by, oh my God, this is going to piss me off so much. I'm just blanking. If I was ever on a game show, I'd be terrible at it because I just blank and I'm an idiot. Willem Dafoe, Kirsten Dunst. It's, and we get J.K. Simmons, J. Jonah Jameson, like all of the, like, talk about a perfect cast and just an awesome movie. We get the original Uncle Ben story. With great power comes great responsibility. The weight of being Spider-Man, it's a little dark. Like, he wants to kill the person who killed Uncle Ben, and he tries to, and he succeeds in a sense. Like, he dies. Whether you can argue whether it was by his hand or not, but it's a dark story. And Sam Raimi adding his horror elements in there with the Green Goblin. I mean, the fact that the movie was made in 2002, you cannot beat that OG story. And I think it changed the scope of superhero movies forever. So I will just always have so much love for that original Spider-Man movie. Number 3, Spider-Man No Way Home. I think that everyone loved it when it first came out. Then some years went on, and then you got the people who were like, it's not as good as I remember. It's all nostalgia. And then like a few years after that, people are like, no, it is that good. I mean, you can argue about the beginning of the movie a little bit. It is a little bit silly, the way that they get caught up in this mess with Doctor Strange. But the inclusion of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, not as cameos, but as people who are serving the story, and in a sense serving their own stories as well. It was so beautifully done, you couldn't even beat it. Like, everyone knew that they were going to be in the movie, kind of, but no one knew to what extent they'd be in the movie. And the fact that we were able to get Andrew Garfield's redemption. We were able to get the darkest we've ever seen Tom Holland Spider-Man go, the most mature we've seen him go, the loss of Aunt May, those gut-wrenching scenes. He's finally not a kid anymore. He has finally dealt with real severe loss, and then ending it off with no one in the world even remembering who he is, the sacrifice that he has to make as Spider-Man, bigger than any Spider-Mans we've seen so far to date. I think it's a beautiful movie. So that's why No Way Home lands at 3. Number 2, Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire. This is almost the best Peter Parker story that we've gotten. There's not a ton of Spider-Man in this movie. There's a lot of Peter Parker. It's almost the antithesis of Brand New Day. He gives up being Spider-Man, because he just cannot find that balance in his life. We get a few of the most iconic scenes ever in a Spider-Man movie in this movie. We get the train scene. We get the scene where he's talking to Aunt May, and she tells him that story about how people need Spider-Man. I think it's so cool how they give a nod to, like, she knows he's Spider-Man, I think. Like, she knows who he's talking to, but it's never explicitly said that she knows that he's Spider-Man, but You can tell, I think, that she knows. You get one of the best Peter Parker stories from that. Doc Ock coming off the heels of trying to be a villain after Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. He smashes it. Smashes it. Spider-Man 2 is so good. It's the best Tobey movie, and it will forever be in my heart. But the greatest Spider-Man movie is Spider-Man Brand New Day. It just is. It just is. This story of him having to deal with no one knowing who he is, him giving up everything in his life, watching the years go by where they were in college and enjoying their life and loving their life, and he is just getting to experience none of it. He's alone. He's completely isolated. Getting that feel for how broken he was from that, from losing May, and having no one, and him delving completely into being Spider-Man. No Peter Parker, which is the antithesis of Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire. It's the opposite. It was one of the most gut-wrenching stories we've ever gotten. I love Jean Grey. People just have problems. People are nitpicking and finding any problem with Jean Grey that they can. We wanted a Spider-Man villain. We want like his rogues gallery. We've gotten so many of Spider-Man's villains already in all of the movies. So many. We got all of the major ones. I just don't understand why, like, it's okay to have a different villain in a Spider-Man movie. We can now include X-Men. We can include everybody. Why not go down a different route here? We've explored his best villains, Doc Ock, Green Goblin. We just got them all back, Electro. We just got them all back, Sandman, Venom. We got them all back in No Way Home. Why not explore a different route? And I love the route that they went on. I love the relationship that he builds with Jean Grey due to being alone. I love the Frank Castle's Punisher, Hulk. I love the inclusion of all these characters here. It felt lived in. It felt like it was in the Marvel Universe. It was one of the most beautiful Spider-Man stories, and coming to terms with, I can't do this alone. It was beautiful. And it's easy for things to be corny when you stop the villain from like a speech, but she wasn't just a straight across the board villain. That's why it works in this sense. It was a very gray character, no pun intended, and the only way he could have stopped her the way he did with no one getting hurt was exactly how he approached it. I love how we're getting flashes of Aunt May, and then we get that full scene. And it was almost her living in his shoes, and the speech is being given to her. And then you get that iconic ending line of, I have no one. And then Spider-Man says, you have me. It's giving me a very brother-sister vibe. Some people are trying to romanticize it. But it's like an older brother and a younger sister. And the way that he feels this familial connection to her by the end of the movie is so beautiful. And people are saying, she can't be redeemed. She does horrible things. Why can't she be redeemed? Loki killed thousands and thousands of people in New York, and I love him. And he was redeemed by Ragnarok, and he's even more redeemed. There are so many characters that do awful, awful things and work their way towards redemption. I know Jean does some rough things in this movie, but it's nowhere near the scale and scope of someone like Loki, who has been forgiven by everybody and who becomes one of the greatest, if not the greatest, heroes due to what his role is now in the Marvel Universe. It's just everyone wants to nitpick things. Jean Grey can be redeemed. Anyone can be redeemed. That's the point of the movie. And that's the point of the Spider-Man character. is you never give up on anyone, and you always try to help everybody you can, no matter what decisions that they make. You don't hold grudges. None of that bullshit. There's no point in any of that. You always lean towards forgiveness. That's what Spider-Man's all about. That's why Spider-Man Brand New Day is the best Spider-Man movie that we've ever gotten. We get the best action. We get the most incredible swinging. We get the most incredible Spider-Man story and him trying to rediscover being Peter Parker. It is perfect. Minus the nitpicking bullshit from everybody. It is perfect. Mic drop, bitch. We in this.